What's good, everyone? Alex Harris here with another Knicks episode of the Knicks Jets Etc. podcast. And with me is always my buddy, my coach, my pal, the man with a plan, the guy who's ready. He's going to be there opening night. He's going to be there to cheer on the orange and blue. My guy, the one and only, John Meleka. John, how are you doing today, my guy?
I'm good, man. I'm good. I'm really excited about Knicks home opener, but training camp's here, preseason's coming, and somehow that's the only thing that's going to get us back up. I can't believe we're here, but the Yankees are causing stress. The Jets are the Jets as usual, and for somehow the world has made it so that the Knicks are the ones that are gonna get us up here. So I'm excited, man. NBA starting a little bit earlier this year. So we have a really cool Christmas game coming. The Knicks are back and we're back, and I'm hyped, man. I'm just really hyped. How are you doing?
Good, man. You know, living the dream with the quarantine cats. So that's always fun. That's always
How those cats doing, dude? Not good.
Painful.
Right,
it's
cool.
painful.
Right.
It's painful. Ringworm is a terrible thing. It is legitimately cat COVID. I'm tired of this. It's been a month, and then apparently there may be 2 to 3 months, 1 to 2 more months to go of this. So I will be going nuts by the end of it. But John, bearing the lead, we got a phenomenal guest with us today, the one and only Dean of Knicks Film School, host of the Knicks Film School podcast. We got with us today the one and only Jonathan Macri. Mr. Macri, how are you doing today, my man?
I'm doing well. Probably for the best that there's only one of me. I don't know. I wreak havoc wherever I go. No, I'm good, man. It's cool that we got past media day. I don't know, for whatever reason, like, it's a meaningless day, but like getting past media days, it's like, okay, the season has started, even though like we still have whatever it is, 3 weeks worth of preseason games and the whole thing. But like, yeah, we're here, man. It's a new season. It's been really a whirlwind since the bubble. The NBA really hasn't taken a break, but I'm happy because I missed the Knicks, so I'm happy to get them back.
For sure. And it's true. Like, it's been a whirlwind since COVID started. Really doesn't feel like the NBA it took a break for like, 7 months, somewhere around that time before it started back up in August. Was it March? Something along those lines. I can't do math right now. So you had that time period. That was like the only time off. And then next thing you know, we're back into the bubble. And then after that, we're back into the regular season with only like a few months in between. And now we have just what seems like an eternity, but not really an eternity. And now we're back to another season of the NBA just to get back on track. But I'm with you, man. I'm happy. Media day, I don't know. I guess media day has always been like that. It's always the day to say the NBA is back. But this year it's just different because there's actually an expectation for the New York Knicks this time. So I'm actually happy that there's actually something that we can look forward to in the season with new additions in Kemba Walker, Evan Fournier. Hopefully to see this team have a better offensive output than last season, especially with the starters. So
yeah,
I'm excited. I'm excited for that. But based off that, for media day, after hearing all the reactions, I guess we could start off with, it's so hard to start off with media day because the president of basketball operations also spoke a couple of days ago.
I mean,
so
to me, it was like a 2-day media day, right? It was the first half was on Friday and then the second half was on Monday. Like, who amongst us has not written a blog post in which we pick apart like several quotes, right? And like flowery language and like all of the platitudes and all this stuff. Leon Rose saying we're going to be aggressive, but we're also going to be patient. And like I joked on my show, like Steve Mills said the same shit 3-4 years ago, whatever it was. I mean, it's like these people all say the same things. I think there were a couple notable. Obviously, the vaccination thing is huge, but like Mitch isn't ready to go. I thought that was notable. I thought the way Kemba spoke about playing with Derrick Rose and what it meant for him to play with Derrick Rose, I think that was somewhat significant. And I don't have like a quote at my fingertips, but like it's because like I'm always curious how Knicks fans think of this team and like what to expect from certain players. It is still very clear to me that the expectation or the internal view of this team, right, is that it's still Julius Randle and everybody else, right? Like he's their all-star. Obviously, they mentioned him as their all-star. And yeah, Tibbs was like, yeah, we hope to develop or produce another one. But I still look at it as they feel like the team got better around Julius Randle, and not that like Julius Randle is suddenly going to have like a co-star, so to speak. I still think this is going to be a very Randle-centric team. And that he obviously is still the face of the franchise and the whole thing. So I don't know if that's like news, but that's one thing that I kind of got from the tenor of the couple of days.
You know what's so funny, Macri? Literally, the last time we had you here was last year's media day, and you literally had to go to get on that Zoom for Knicks Media Day, and there was a huge panic, right? Like we're talking about Randle and what's gonna happen, and what are we gonna do, and everything. And like literally, right now, you're sitting here. We're so even keeled. We're so calm. You can so easily say that Randle's running the franchise. You know what I mean?
Like, because we got proof of concept, right? Like we saw him do it, and I understand he had 5 awful games. And actually, I thought his response to that was really great. I love the fact that he said he went back and he watched all the games, and that he overthought it, because that's exactly what he did. You know, like you're rarely going to hear a player admit that he got too far into his own head, but isn't that kind of what he said? Like he got in his own head, you know? So I appreciate that response from him.
Yeah, for sure.
I love that he said he overcomplicated the playoffs, because I feel like we all overcomplicated the playoffs. I mean, we talked.
Look, they got beat by a vastly better team. Like let's just call it like it is. The Hawks were. I know the record wasn't the same, but like the Hawks were a better team. There's no question the Hawks were a better team. We'll see what happens this year if the two teams face each other again. Are they still? I think on paper they're better. I don't know. It's tough for me to compare the Knicks at this point without having seen them play, because I want to see. I mean, I think like everybody else, I want to see what Kemba looks like. Mm-hmm. Like that's to me, that's far and away the most obvious thing, because I think Randle's going to be really good again. I think Randle's going to benefit from playing off of some new pieces. I think like Fournier, like what you're going to get from Fournier. Rose, hopefully he doesn't take a step back. He's still only 31, so he hasn't played a ton of games in his career. I think Rose is gonna be fine. And even RJ, like, yeah, we're all pumped for RJ year 3. I'm pumped for RJ year 3. But like, even if he has it or is more comfortable with like some off the dribble threes, and even if he's worked on his finishing around the rim, I don't think you're gonna come out like he's gonna come out and play like a guy who's going to make it. Like, I personally don't see him making a serious run for an all-star team this year. I know a lot of Knicks fans are think I'm crazy and that's insane. I think he will make all-star teams, multiple all-star teams. I just don't know if we're going to see it this year. He's 21 years old, So, like, all this is to say, I think he's going to be very good. But again, we kind of know what we're going to get from RJ. If Kemba could honestly just be the guy he was last year when he was on the court. Like, that dude was freaking awesome, especially after the first 10 games of the season. And by the way, he didn't have a training camp. So just give me the guy. He was efficient. He hit some threes. It wasn't consistent because he was in and out of the lineup, and I think that hurt the Celtics, which is why, again, the other part of Kemba is I not only want to see how he looks, but I want to see how often he's playing and what their plan is for him. Like, is he going to be sitting every back-to-back? Because I counted up. The Knicks have definitely more than 10 back-to-backs. So what's the plan? What are they going to do?
Well, we heard from him today, right? And I think was it Fred? Is it Fred or Frank Cat? Fred Katz.
Fred Katz, yeah.
Fred Katz, Fred Katz, the new reporter for the Knicks beat over at the Athletic. He had that tweet today saying that Kemba, it wasn't his decision to sit out, back to backs. It was the Celtics' decision. So. Yep. And we know from the joke from Tom Thibodeau saying, yes, that Kemba will be playing back to back. So
he's playing.
I would expect that he'd be playing, even though it's a joke. But I think that Tom Thibodeau's not the guy to let anyone, like, unless Kemba's seriously hurt and he needs that rest. I think Kemba's going to play because Tibbs thinks about winning first and foremost, and that he's going to need him to be on the court to give this team the best opportunity to play right next to Julius Randle. So if he's not there, maybe it's rough because unless you start thinking Derrick Rose is like go start hop into the lineup when Kemba's missing, and then you have to rely on Derrick Rose. But then Derrick Rose is another guy that you got to worry about. So I think Kemba's just gonna be playing. I think he'll be fine this season. I think Celtics fans are just salty that they didn't get a good Kemba. I think that's why they're talking down on him.
Well, no, I mean, but that's the thing is I really do think they got a good Kemba, but I think if you look at his game log, I mean, I don't think maybe he played more than like 5 or 6 straight games one time, if that, just because there were so many back-to-backs. And like, I've talked to, Adam Taylor a bunch. He writes for Celtics blog and he like watches every one of their games. And his opinion is just that I mean, there were other issues with that team, but they lacked a certain amount of consistency. Which is, I mean, like when your starting point guard isn't there every whatever 7th or 8th or 10th day, like I want, which is why if there was a way, and again, I don't know what his doctors are saying, but like if they thought that playing him, this is going to be the hill that I'm going to die on this preseason. If they think that playing him every game, but only limiting him to like 22, 24, maybe 26 minutes, to me, that makes a hell of a lot more sense than having him play 30, 31, 32, whatever it's going to be, but like resting him, however often they're going to rest him, just because, like, why wouldn't you want to do that? Like, and in a perfect world, you have him and Rose for every game, but just play them around 22, 24 minutes a night. Even if, like, hell, play them 20 minutes a game and give quickly 8 minutes a game as like, I'm not even kidding. Because like this team does not lack for ball handlers. I think is quickly ready to be like a starting point guard. Of course not. He's not ready for that, but like, can he handle some possessions for you? Can Fournier handle some possessions for you? Like we saw Burks play point guard last year. I thought he did an admirable job of it. We all thought that he was maybe the answer in the playoffs, that he should be starting. So yeah, I don't know what the plan is. I just want to see it. If they could figure that out, and if Kemba looks good and they could get him on the court more often than not, like if you told me that they were going to be, the 3 seed or the 4 seed, I'd be like, all right, I don't know that I would say that, but I don't think that would be shocking, like that completely shocking.
But that's the good thing about the Knicks this season, right? They have a lot of depth. So
yeah,
especially at the guard, I feel like at almost every position, like they have a lot of depth. Maybe not so much on the wing, but I feel like center wise and guard wise, we're pretty stacked.
The depth at center. I mean, you can't say enough about Taj Gibson. No, but it's what I like about it also specifically is like, so Noel could play 30 minutes a night, right? If he needs to. We maybe don't want to see that. I mean, put Mitch aside, right? Because right now, Mitch, we don't know if he didn't scrimmage today, so we don't know how close he is. Taj could give you 20, 25 minutes. We haven't seen Randle at the 5, but we know that if there was a situation where you had to put Randle on the floor for 30 some odd minutes and have 5 or 10 of those be at the 5 and then extend Obi into the 20s, I think that would be fine too. So like, I think they have really, really solid depth at the big spots. We just talked about the ball handlers. You nailed it with the dirty little secret, I think, for this team is they can't really afford an injury on the wing. Like just imagine if RJ Barrett got hurt. Like, I don't want to imagine that.
No, Jesus, to stop. I don't even want to put that energy out there.
But like, no, but they'd be seriously screwed because he's their best wing defender. He's turned into obviously a very reliable shooter. Like, I don't even know that they would miss the offense as much as like the defense, but it just, you're losing so much depth because then you figure whatever, quickly Burks goes into the starting lineup. And then all of a sudden you're looking around for bench pieces and it's like, are you putting Grimes in the game as a rookie? I mean, I want to see Grimes. I like Grimes. I think he's going to be a good player, but say Kevin Knox's name, like Dwayne Bacon, is Dwayne Bacon even going to make this roster? I will see. But yeah, no, they're a little thin at the wing, but at the same time, if everybody stays healthy, I think they'll be fine.
Yeah, I'm really curious about your Kemba Walker 20-minute.
Maybe not 20, like 24, 20. 24,
yeah, I know.
26.
I get what you're saying. I'm just saying, like the part-time Kemba instead of taking games off. But the problem is, there's a human element, And I feel like if you put Kemba Walker there, it's just not going to work. Like you're not going to be able to take him out after 20, and it's not in his DNA, and it's not in the coach's DNA. And so, yeah, go ahead. I would rather quickly just like know before coming into the game, like almost like a backup quarterback, know that I'm about to get some minutes today behind Rose, and like kind of be ready for that role instead of having like a 20-minute Kemba. Because, I mean, I don't want to say EP, but like those EP minutes where is going to be like kind of like trash minutes, and you're just sort of waiting for him to get out. Like when you say Kemba Walker's on a limited, minute restriction, we're going to be talking about that for 3 hours going into the game. Everybody's going to be talking about that. Like we're all going to be super, that's going to be the game plan. That's what worries me there about that.
I don't know if it would become a talking point only because of Derrick Rose. And I think if you look at Derrick Rose's averages over the last couple of years, he's been pretty consistently averaging 25 minutes a night. I think Derrick Rose likes playing about half the game. I think that's part of why he wanted to come here. I think he knew the opportunity would be there for him to play about half the game. And if you're playing Kemba, let's just say again, for argument's sake, if you're playing him 30 minutes a night, right? When you play him, then on those nights, so that's 18 minutes left, right? For Rose, unless you're going to put the two of them on the floor at the same time. I'm not sure, again, injuries may change this, but if the Knicks have a relatively healthy rotation, I'm not sure putting Rose and Walker on the floor at the same time is the best use of resources. I feel like you keep those guys separate. And I just don't think Derrick Rose wants to play 16, 18 minutes a night. I think he wants to play in the low 20s. So if he wants to play in the low 20s or average in the low 20s, like, again, is there a way where Kemba plays more on the nights he plays, and then you take him out of the lineup altogether, and Rose is essentially the starter and plays 30 some odd minutes but like, again, I'm not a doctor. I don't know the science of it.
Yeah.
What's smarter, like pushing a guy past 30 minutes 3 out of every 4 games or 4 out of every 5 games, or giving them less consistently? And like, we saw what going over his limit too many games in a row did to Derrick Rose last year. I don't know. I would trust the doctors. I would honestly listen to whatever the doctor said, and then I would go from there. But I have to think at this point in his career, Kemba wants to win.
Yeah, empty the tank type deal.
Yeah, well, he wants to win. I think he wants to. Yeah. I think he wants to empty the tank, and I think, like, is he really going to, like, is 4 minutes a game or 5 minutes a game or 6 minutes a game, whatever it is, going to make a huge difference to him? I don't know. Maybe it will. Maybe I'm wrong. But it seems like I hope he thinks like, okay, this is my last opportunity to really, give it a go. Don't forget, guy's been to the playoffs 3 times, and he's won 2 playoff series.
Yeah, yeah.
And they were both with the or maybe no 2 playoff series.
He's primary ball handler on both those. So yeah, I agree. But let's go to, you kind of mentioned a little bit with the big men before we get into the Mitch extension, which I know you've gone off on a bunch. I'm curious about Obi, because you're the only person so far this entire offseason that's been on the same page with me. Everybody's been calling me crazy, Macri. So you're here with me saying that Obi can get 20 minutes a game. And I think he could reach up to that potential, and I don't think he's gonna put up those, I don't want to call them embarrassing minutes that he had last year, but just like those confusion minutes. Like I think he's going to be really solid in whatever he's given, whether it's like 12, to 14 to start, and then bump up. And I have him as our I have him as our best player off the bench. I know he might not be our most important because like we have Burks, we have obviously Rose, we have the guards, but just in terms of big men, right? Because who knows what we're going to get out of Mitch and Noel, and hopefully Taj, and then. What if Randle has a bad game? Like, then what? You know what I mean? Well, like, who's there? You know what I'm trying to say?
I think Randle's earned the right to, for the time being at least, shoot his way out of bad games. I don't think there's a leash on Randle. I don't know that I'd say Obi's their best player off the bench. I think that would be Rose. I'd put Burks still ahead of Obi, and honestly, I'd still put Quickly ahead of Obi. I think, but here's the thing: Obi, for him to play a valuable role. Like, just be, even if he is the 10th man, or the ninth man, 10th man, whatever you want to say, just be great in that role. And I think he was passable in that role last year. I don't think his presence ever hurt them. I don't think Obi Toppin ever lost them games. But you know why Obi Toppin never lost the games? Because when he was having a shitty game, Tibbs would yank his ass. You know,
so
and yeah. So like, can you turn that around and turn into a player who Tibbs has to look at and be like, man, I really don't want to take this guy off the floor. Like, force Tibbs's hand like that. Put the Peyton thing aside. The Peyton thing was its own thing, and like that, I think that had to do with other factors. Like, I don't think Tibbs made any decisions last year where you looked at and you're like, I don't understand why he's doing this, or this doesn't make basketball sense. Like, could he have played Obi Toppin more minutes? Sure, he could have. Did his play warrant that? I don't think it did.
No, definitely not last year.
No, but
it's just like my, I guess most improved.
No, I think he's
his
good.
role.
Listen,
Just like last year was
very high on him.
Was a rookie year.
Yeah, no, he's a rookie, and he showed he's been a late bloomer at every stage of his career. And again, look, it's the NBA. It's a different animal than the A10. But I think he has the work ethic, and I that was another thing. Again, take it with a grain of salt. But when Tibbs spoke just glowingly about Toppin at media day, having put in the work, and he's like, what did he say? He's like a different player from last year. He's like unrecognizable, whatever. Like, that stuff is huge. I love that he was firing right away from deep during summer league, like without hesitation, taking whatever it was, almost 6 threes a game.
Yeah.
Hit him at 35%. It's summer league, sure, but that's a good sign. Look, can he there's a lot of ways to get to 20 minutes a night. I think, you get a little bit more time, maybe in some garbage time games. It's like, but just, I don't think it's necessarily even about the minutes. I think it's about the quality of the role that he is handed during those minutes. Like, he was a floor spacing big last year. You let him do some stuff. That's what I want to see. If you let him do some stuff, I think you're going to see more. You're going to get more rewards out of that.
Yeah, and we saw, like, as you point out, we saw some improvement from Obi Toppin during summer league. He got more comfortable, especially working in the paint. Yeah. Definitely from shooting from three. I think what I would say from watching it from summer league, though, is that he still looks like he could develop some more confidence. He didn't seem like he was completely confident every time he went down in the post, or
I agree,
fully like fluid in everything that he wanted to do. Like, he was doing it, and
he's comfortable
doing it, but he wasn't necessarily comfortable, or like not saying comfortable, actually, yeah, comfortable and confident doing it. So I would think we're going to get we would need one more year out of Obi Toppin to really see what he can do. But I agree, like, quality of minutes to be very important. I'm not with you and John. Like, we had a Knicks episode where we discussed, who would be our teams, like MVP, sixth man of the year, like all those awards, but just focus on the Knicks. And John had it for both most improved and sixth man of the year.
Obi Toppin.
Yeah, he wanted to choose both, but he couldn't choose both. He chose, I think you chose Obi for sixth man of the year, but most improved you chose or no,
because I know the guards. Because I know the guards, like, obviously, like D Rose and Quickly and IQ, like, we know they run the team. But like, who I'm really looking for to like really make a difference of the bench this year is Obi, and I feel like he's gonna make the difference in whether or not we win those close games, because he's in those bad minutes, like those 8 minutes at the end, in the middle of the second, or those 8 minutes in the third where we always lose. Knicks in the third quarter, the worst thing on earth.
It's up to him to turn them into good minutes, and that's on him, and that's why they drafted him. And I think we're going to see a much better version of him this year. I don't know what the ceiling is going to be. That's the only thing I'm not sure of.
I agree 100%. Someone tweeted at me today asking if the New York Jets or if Obi Toppin would have more points this season, and I am a firm believer in Obi Toppin. It was very mean, but the slander is so real. It's so real for Jets fans right now. Not going to go into that team because I will just start crying on the spot. But if we want to go into it, Obi Toppin did have more points than the New York Jets last season. He had 253 to the Jets 243. So I'll take Obi Toppin this year to have more points.
Pretty close. I would comfortably take Toppin actually as well.
Oh, you guys are spicy. We gotta put a bet on it right now, because I have to take the Jets. As much as I love Obi, I hate both of you right now.
I mean, the Jets haven't scored a touchdown within 8 quarters, so it's
That's
not
fine.
looking too good right now.
That's fine. We got the Atlanta Falcons coming up in 2 weeks. I'm looking forward to it.
Oh man, but no, I agree with Obi. I think, I guess for me, it's like really where's that 20 minutes coming from? I know like you both are saying we can do Randle at the 5, and I can totally see Randle doing it at the 5, but it's not me. It's not us seeing Randle at the 5. Does Mr. Tom Thibodeau see Obi at the 5? Because we got some of that last year, but it was, I forget the minute total. I think it was like 200 some odd minutes that Randle did at small ball 5, but that was because of injuries. I just don't see how common that's going to be.
And I know I've seen that stat. Like, I don't think that's like he really didn't play with Toppin hardly at all. And there's some like quirky stuff where like I don't know. I think like either Noel or Gibson was considered like a power forward for some reason. I've looked into that. It seems like more minutes than was actually the case. But no, I mean, look, it's Tibbs is he goes with what he's comfortable with, and he's obviously comfortable with a more traditional, defensive pick and roll type center. And that's, hey, listen, who are we to criticize, right? It worked last season, so if it's not broke, don't fix it.
It did, and like so, I'm going to ask you like, who are you looking for then, like for the season? Like, what player are you like honing in on to like watch? Like grow? Is it RJ? Are you looking for like Mitch to take that leap? If you had to choose like one player, who are you trying to hone in on and see true growth and development?
That's a great question. I have a strange soft spot / fascination with Emmanuel quickly, and I think it was so incredibly impressive that like this is going to sound insane, but I still think back to that preseason game, right, against the Cavs at Madison Square Garden, when the Cavs were playing with like they already were going to be one of the worst teams in the league, and they were playing with like their G League squad. So again, take it with many grains of salt. But it was a start in the Garden, no fans, I know, but just he absolutely owned it. Like absolutely unfazed. And then the regular season started. He got hurt. He was out for a few games.
Mm-hmm.
And then he just stepped right back in. And like from the get-go, just absolute stones, taking big shots, absolutely no fear of the moment. Their offense came to life whenever he was in the game. It didn't matter if he went 8 for 15 or 2 for 15. Like maybe 2 for 15 is a little extreme, but like you'd look up on nights where he didn't have his best shooting touch. But if you watch the games, just him being in there, nobody else provided what he did to their offense. Now, growth is not linear with NBA players often, but like he shot it terribly at Summer League, which was also kind of funny. I want to see what year 2 looks like for Emmanuel quickly, because if you could shoot it in this league and you could hold your own on defense, like he's a little guard, he's not a big guard. So that part may be a little challenging, but like if you could shoot it with range and off the dribble and the whole thing, and like, man, you're a weapon. And I just want to see where his game goes. I'm still really high on him, so I would say quickly.
Okay. What about you, John? Who are you honing in on? Is it Obi Toppin?
No. I'm hoping in on RJ, man. Year 3 RJ makes the biggest difference in the world. I know you guys alluded to it. Like, what would happen if RJ is out? I agree. What would happen if RJ is out? The whole point is, I think he's turning 21. Like, he's so we act like this guy is, past this prime, rolling on 32, 33, and we're asking, what else can you do for me? The guy is like just growing facial hair. So I'm really excited for RJ to play defense, be that guy. Like, he just looks bigger. Like, Julius Randle to me looks thinner at media day. I know it's just like the first day of media day, but for something about him just looks like a little smaller. And Obi looks bigger, right? And RJ looks more like a man, like more like less of a boy. And that's what I'm hoping he plays like. I'm hoping he gets, number one, respect from, let's call it as it is, officials, let's hoping he gets respect from his teammates to score. And I don't want him to just be that corner 3-point shooter, even though he was leading the league in, that percentage for, I don't know if he ended the year leading the league from the corner 3, but I know for most of the season he was.
He was by that forget who puts together those graphics. Kirk Goldsberry has had RJ as the most proficient by whatever metric he used corner 3-point shooter from the left corner.
Yeah.
I will say this though. I think Tibbs, and the organization, I don't know if it was an organizational decision or if it was a Thibodeau decision. I think they did a nice job making sure RJ got his touches and quality touches that gave him a chance to try to do something with the ball pretty much in every game last season. Like, I know there were some fans who, like, literally anytime Alfred Payton did anything and RJ was on the court, they're like, why is RJ not on the ball? Like, Payton was on the team. He was going to get touches. He was going to do stuff. He was the point guard of the team. I agree. It was a waste of time. But, like, I think RJ got a good opportunity last year to continue to hone his skill set. And I think that that's going to come in handy this year as, like, again, because like you said, he's only 21 and he's gotten better. Again, this is a different conversation than when we were like, Kevin Knox, only 21, because he got worse. He got worse.
We were hoping that he develops a shot. You know what I mean? Like, RJ Barrett, we're hoping he develops into an all-star. It's a whole different conversation.
His peak as an NBA player, Knox was his second month in the league. So no, RJ's definitely a different animal for sure.
I'm hoping he's the one that guards Trae Young, in that game 1 last possession. I don't want to bring someone off the bench. I don't want, trust RJ. He's the franchise guy, or 1A or 1B. Like, he's supposedly our best defender. Just put him on them. Like, put him on Trae Young. If he fails, I'm okay with RJ Barrett failing, rather than, a cold whoever it's going to be, whether it's Frank or obviously not now. It's going to be whoever it is. Like, anyone off the bench, just give me RJ. Like, let's live and die by RJ. That's how I feel.
No disagreement.
I like that. So, Emmanuel, quickly, RJ, I'm going to go with John, the guy who needs to be our most improved, as you always say, which is Mitchell Robinson. I'm looking forward to see how Mitch comes back. Like, the last thing we had was like that Wizards game where he was just going off, like really just like he had
incredible game.
Threw his stones on the table, said, "I'm here."
Yeah.
I want to see him come back and be the center that we need. Not this, it was fun rookie year where I think he led in PER. You're like, oh wow, what's this? And then you see that he has crazy blocks, the crazy athleticism. We know all of that. I want to see it all controlled and just letting the game come to him for once, because if he can let the game come to him and not have to attempt to block every single shot or attempt to, go above and beyond to get a crazy slam, I feel like we're in a different stratosphere as a team if you can have him as a true starting center. And then,
oh yeah, for sure.
I think who is it? I think Alan Hahn said it on Knicks Fan TV, where it's like he could have seen if we had Mitch, that game's different. That's like a longer contested series game. And I could see that because we're talking about a guy who could match with Clint Capella, like athletically, size wise. Like, I still think the Hawks would probably win because they're a better team, well coached. But I think it would have been more of a game just because we saw Noel get bullied. He's not as good as a pick and roll defender as Mitch is. Like, Mitch is just so athletic where he can do all those things. And that's who I really want to see come forward. And I know John's going to ask this question, so I'm going to beat him to it. Macri, the Mitchell Robinson extension. What's happening?
What about it?
Yo,
is it happening?
Macri, Mitchell Robinson extension. I'm dying over here.
My guess is that it's not going to happen.
For what reason? Because of Mitch reason or the organizational reason?
I think it's probably I do think it's an organizational reason. I think when you combine, you know what? I think if he hadn't broken his foot, maybe we would be having a different conversation about this. But like, that position, that part of the body getting injured, and like, Mitch is an otherworldly talent, but I think there are still potentially questions about just I don't know. But I was going to say maturity, but I don't even think that's the right word because I think he has become a really good professional. I think he does put in the work. Um, Ian went on Zach Lowe's podcast. What was it last week? I think last Friday, and talked about how the effect that Mike Woodson had on Mitchell Robinson, and that was a big positive. But he also predicted that the Knicks were going to let him go into unrestricted free agency, which again, I don't. And here's the other part of it, just from a NBA landscape perspective, and I guess I'll end with this: is this like there is not a lot of money out there this summer upcoming because teams got the sense very early on, like, oh, there's not going to be any kind of free agency worth spending money on. So, like, yeah, there's going to be a handful of teams that have cap space, if that. But it's not going to be like if you look at the teams that are likely to have cap space, yeah, maybe one of them throws a big number at Mitchell Robinson. I don't know, it's possible, but I think more than likely his suitors are going to be teams that maybe have the mid-level exception. So what is the mid-level exception? The mid-level exception is going to start at $10 million. So the Knicks know that they're going to be able to beat that. And they will have an additional year's worth of evidence to add to what they currently have and then be able to make a more informed decision because they know at the end of the day, they can overpay him. And like, I understand unrestricted free agency is dangerous. He can go anywhere he wants, except again, there's not a lot of teams that have cap space. I think they're reading this thing wisely. I think they're playing it smart. Is there a risk? Yeah, of course there's a risk, but I think it's a calculated risk. I don't think they're going into this like just like keeping their fingers crossed. I think they've kind of read the lay of the land. And like, what's the worst thing that happens? Mitchell Robinson goes out and wins fucking defensive player of the year, and they have to spend a lot more money on them than they would today or earlier this summer. Guess what? That is a problem that they would sign for in a heartbeat.
Okay, that's
like
fair.
If that's the worst thing, like, great, you've just won the lottery. So I think they're prepared to deal with that. But again, it's about having more evidence. And I think maybe they just, both on the health front and maybe some other fronts, I think they just would like some more evidence.
That angle is fair, right? The worst case scenario is Mitchell Robinson kills it and we don't have him signed, and then we are forced to pay a luxury tax on it. I'm with you on that. So yeah. I guess I'm okay with that risk. How I was thinking about it from my worst case scenario was we don't sign him to this, even if it was a max extension, it would be a team friendly deal, in my opinion. And I think that actually Mitch Robinson would be the one pulling away, from that because of, the new CBA that's going to be reworked. And there's going to be, all these teams are going to have a floor. I mean, you saw Cole Aldridge a couple of years ago got a bigger contract from Minnesota than, Mitch Robinson's going to get an extension. You know what I mean? Like,
look, I think there, again, there's always risk with letting a guy go into unrestricted. But what's the biggest risk for the Knicks? The biggest risk for the Knicks is
no.
Well, I mean, they can't sign him to a contract that big.
High, but like that sort of.
But like again, the most they could sign him to right now is roughly 4 for 54, 56, whatever, something in the mid 50s range. Like, if he if he stays healthy and he's like, if he stays healthy and if he stays with progressing at the level that he has progressed, yes, it would be a bargain, even at that position, because he could just do special things as a center. And that's why I've always been very high on Mitch's game and his talent. And like, if he could just get on the floor and stay on the floor and just, I see the improvement. I'm very high on him. It's just, you always got to weigh the downside risk too. And I think they're, especially with this injury. That's why I said if the injury hadn't happened, I think we'd be probably having a different conversation.
I agree with that. And I think it's just so hard for them because as we've already seen just through like even one season, I feel like you see how calculated they are and like how they want to approach each and every single player and like how they brought players back, that they're just not going to start throwing money unless they have some sort of evidence or confidence or they know they're getting a deal. Like Kemba Walker doesn't have it unless they're saying like well, if they're not going to overpay for Kemba Walker. They could have easily
Yeah.
said, "Hey, let's trade for Kemba Walker. We need a point guard." They said,
Yeah.
"No, let's wait and see what happens." Oh, buyout $8 million, sure, done
Yeah.
deal. All the contracts have a team option, so they're not going to say, "Oh yeah, sure, Mitch, we only saw like maybe half a season from last year. We were pretty good, and we'll bank on that." I agree with you, Macri. Like they want to make sure they're investing in a player who is going to be one, healthy, two, reliable,
Yeah.
and shows that he's this. Mitch has only been a theory for these past 3 years. Only for like last season did we kind of see what he could be, because it's like I feel like, and I say theory because everyone's like, oh well, what if he adds a jumper? What if he does this? What if he become like all this and all this?
I don't even care about that stuff.
Neither do I, but I'm just saying that's where the theory comes from. It's like, oh, well, he could do all these things, and it's like all he has to do is just stop fouling a lot of people. All he has to do is have a post game. All he has to do is, it's like all these he has to do's is what fans were saying. And I feel like he's just been a theory for most fans than actually like, what do we actually need and what do we see from him, which is just shot blocking, rim running 5, which is very useful in today's NBA. That's essentially what Clint Capella, although Clint Capella has a little bit more of a post game, but that's
yeah. But again, I don't even care if he could just be like, just give us a consistent version or a consistent, like what we've seen when we've seen Mitch at his best. If he could just be that, like, I don't care if he ever takes a shot outside of 5 feet in his life. I really don't. If he could just be the best version of that guy that we've already seen, he doesn't need to do ever a thing that he hasn't done already. I don't even care if he doesn't really advance as a playmaker and like be able to make a simple read. Like, just be a rim running dive guy, and do what you do on defense. And like that, if you could be that consistently and you stay healthy, like that's worth $12 million a year in a heartbeat.
Absolutely. Totally agree with you on that.
Yeah.
We're gonna transition to a guy who we just found out is still in a walking boot and who had a poor summer league performance.
More foot injuries
on this team. Luka Vildoza. I'm just gonna come straight at you. Is he gonna make this team? You brought up Dwayne Bacon earlier in this pod, and it is looking very likely that he could replace Vildoza. Vildoza had a poor summer league outing, wasn't too confident in the Olympics, and now you have him in a walking boot. And his contract's not fully guaranteed until opening night, so it's not too good for this guy.
My first answer is I don't really care. I mean, all due respect to Luka Vildoza and Dwayne Bacon, but if either of those guys play a significant role for the Knicks this year, something has gone terribly, terribly wrong. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Probably, my guess is that he probably won't make the team, and it would be Bacon. But then, like, you never know. Who knows? Maybe they surprise us. Maybe, maybe they sign like MJ Walker to their 15th spot. Like, again, nothing would shock me. But Tibbs came out today and said, he said that we have 14 guaranteed contracts and we have 1 open roster spot. So it's not like you're going to see a surprise like Kevin Knox getting cut or something like that. That's not going to happen. I'd bet on Bacon right now, but again, I don't really think it makes a difference. I'm being just blatantly honest. Yeah.
Okay. So you kind of leaned into saying something has gone quite astray if Vildoza, if we're relying on Vildoza. This is going to be the Debbie Downer section. What is going wrong for the season then? Like, what is the fear for going into?
Oh my God! I mean, there's so. I mean, well, okay. I was gonna say there's so many things that could go wrong. I mean, if Randle regresses as a shooter, or if I don't want to say regresses because that implies that last season was fake. Just if he slumps, if he goes through an extended slump, and great players go through slumps sometimes. If Randle slumps, if Walker gets hurt, if Rose gets hurt, overall the team's injury luck was pretty good last year. Like, what if that turns? They were pretty good in close games. I feel like they were a decent. I don't know what the clutch stats were exactly, but they pulled out some decent games. What if? They haven't developed that much institutional currency, I guess, where really solid organizations who have been through the wars and playoffs year after year after year, like can sustain a losing streak, and like they know that they're going to be okay. You know, the Knicks don't have that. They have 1 year under their belt. Now, I think they have a solid culture and a solid foundation and like good veterans and the whole thing. But, you know, what if they're tested? Like, how will they respond? Like, those are all things. But at the same time, like, I don't know, man. The more I think about this team, the more I think if they could just be relatively healthy. And I say that with the point guard position in the back of my mind, because those guys are both 31 years old.
Yes.
That's the X factor. But if they could stay relatively healthy, I don't see how this team is going to be a bad team. Does that mean they're going to be the 3 or 4 seed? No. But if you're asking me, like, what's the scenario where the Knicks go, you know, 30, what would it be? 36 and 46? Does that add up? Yeah, sure. 36 or 46. I'm like, everything that could go wrong would need to go wrong. Absent some like catastrophic injury to like Randle or something. So yeah, I mean, I think the baseline is kind of like around 500, you know, 40, 41, 42. And I haven't made an official prediction yet, I don't think. But I'll probably wind up somewhere around 46 wins, 45, 46, 47. I think that's reasonable. You know, it's not sexy, but I think it's reasonable. 6 seed? 6 seed. Do I think there'll be a 6 seed?
That's 47, right?
Yeah, I mean, they'll have to beat out another team that everybody currently has ahead of them, because I think right now everybody kind of has Philly, Atlanta, Miami, and Boston ahead of them, which
Boston, you know, is a tough one for me.
The Boston one is really strange.
Yeah.
Like
I don't know if I don't know if I'd say it's strange. I get why you're saying that, because they were so bad last year in every way.
And like, what did they gain?
It's also not that they were so bad last year. It's that, like, I get that they have 2 dynamic wings. It's more so of the point guard situation that I look at, and that they don't really have a lot of playmakers. They have a lot of scorers. So like, I look at Dennis Schroeder, he's not necessarily a playmaker. I look at Marcus Smart, he's not necessarily a playmaker. And then you look at your wings, Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum, they're not the greatest playmakers either. They can do some playmaking. And that's like when I watched them play the Knicks last year, when the Knicks were in Boston, I didn't see I saw it was like everyone was taking a turn. Like, all right, your turn. Yeah. Let's see what you do. Someone dribble around for a second, drive into the paint, pass out. Yeah, very little. And that was without Kemba too. I think that game was without Kemba. So I just don't see how you can't, like, Kemba was probably outside of like Kyrie and like probably one of the better playmakers they've had in a while at the point guard position. I think they took a downgrade. So that's why I find it strange that they have him over the Knicks. But you beat me to the.
Did you have?
Who, me?
How many wins did you have? Yeah, he had 45 to 47. What did you have on the season?
I have 48. I have 48 wins.
48.
I have the Knicks.
I'm sitting here at 50.
Or 16.
Sitting here at 50 because
you're
pressured me into it. Polito pressured me into it. I'm just gonna be on it. He told me to give a round number. I gave him the 50 burger, but I was just wondering.
Listen, man, if they win 50,
I'll lose my mind. I will literally lose my mind. I will literally be Madison Square Garden, and Alex will be making fun of me, telling me I sound like Brooke Lopez because I have no voice because I'm screaming at Madison Square Garden.
He does sound like Brooke Lopez when he loses his voice.
I agree. I agree.
But Julito came on here with 53.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
53 is. I was like 53. A lot of things have to go right for a 53 season. But Macri, I know John's got some questions about KFS that he wants to ask you. So
I just wanted to know what you had lined up, man. I know you're still on the Zoom press conferences for the Knicks, and what do you got lined up for us at Knicks Film School this year?
Yeah, I mean, we're gonna keep it rolling. We're doing an outing, I think, at the Garden for, I think it's November 17th. We're gonna, I don't know, Andrew and Jeremy are in charge of it. We're doing like a suite or some fancy deal. I think tickets for that might go on sale this week, although we have a Patreon. So the reason I thought of that is because the tickets are being made available to our patrons first. And I have a feeling they're going to go pretty quick. I'll still be doing the post game live after every game on the Knicks Film School YouTube channel. Still not exactly sure how media availability is going to work, as in, like, Will there still be Zoom access if you're not in person? But I'll figure all that out. Yeah, and obviously the newsletter, still 5 days a week. I love that. That's my passion. My favorite thing to do is to write that newsletter.
We love the newsletter, man.
I appreciate it. Yeah, no, listen, I have fun with it. I love to write. I enjoy podcasting, but I love to write. So
how's it feel? Sorry to cut you off. How's it feel to go from like being a fan and then getting to interview players?
Oh, I'll never get used to it. I'll never get used to it ever. Every time I get called on to ask a question, every time I get a response, it's like, what world is this where, I got tapped on the shoulder to be able to do this, because
and they're watching your stuff, and I
don't know that. I really will be honest with you. I don't know that. I go.
Oh, come on, man.
No, I really don't know that.
At least on Twitter, man. Like, they're looking at, like, even like back in the day, Knicks film school stuff, when it was like legit, like those little clips, like 100% they were reading those. Like, if Mitch Robinson is going through Ariel's, daily, like they're looking, man. Their eyes are there.
I don't ever write. Well, I shouldn't say. I try not to write anything that I wouldn't say to a player. So I try to keep it clean. But like it's an honor. It's an honor to get to do this and to be in a position where I have this opportunity. I've said this many times. I don't think I'm any more deserving of it than anybody else, which is why, to me, my role first and foremost is to be a conduit for the fans, because I'm a fan. I'm always going to be a fan. I've never pretended that I'm anything other than that. And to just try to represent the fan base well. Yeah, man, just root for the team and hope this year is another step forward. That's what we're hoping for, right?
But yeah, absolutely. But dude, you've done some like the last year for Knicks Film School was just outstanding. Like, you had Mike Breen on the pod. You had Mike Breen on the pod. You've had Chuck B on the pod.
The Mike Breen one was really good.
The one you had Jason Concepcion on the pod. Like, when I saw Jason Concepcion, I was like, yo, really? I was like, because I love his work. I love NBA Desktop. I actually got to.
Yeah.
It was actually fun because I was at the MIT Sloan Sports Analytics Conference one year, and I got to volunteer and I got to be at the room where all the guests were. So I got to see Sue Bird. I got to see all these people walk in, and then they said Jason. I saw Jason Concepcion. I was like, I can't wait to see this dude. Like, where is he? And then he walks past me. And then when I was about to talk to ask him, say I love his content, someone pulled me away. I was like, God damn it! Like, it was like that moment. I was like,
yeah.
But dude, Knicks Film School, man.
You
guys are doing an awesome job, man.
I really appreciate it.
Claudio, Jeremy, Chris. I know the CEO, Chris Persian, and the CEO of the company.
No, Chris is awesome. Jeremy's awesome. Andrew's awesome. It's a great group. We're really lucky to have found each other and be able to work together and put the content out. And yeah, man, Breen was special. I'll just say that our episode 400 is coming up on so was it Friday the 8th. Keep an eye out for that one. That one's gonna be pretty good. I'll just say
a little teaser.
Just don't.
Claudio knows how to do a rollout, so we'll keep an eye out.
Yeah. I don't think I'm going to mandate that he does not drop any hints about who's appearing on that episode until like maybe 6 o'clock the night before, because I want to keep that one under wraps. But it's awesome. I promise you'll enjoy it. So definitely check out that pod. And no, man, I appreciate you guys having me on. This has been fun. Definitely.
Looking forward to it. But we can't let you off. But before telling us where you think Ben Simmons is going, it's our number one question. We have to ask everyone on the Knicks pod.
Where do I think Ben Simmons is going? I've been saying Sacramento, I feel like, for the last few months, and I think I am going to change that to. I think I might change that to Minnesota.
Ooh,
okay.
But one of those two teams, I think, will be the team. I think it's going to be one of those two teams.
Okay. You see D'Lo being in the deal for Ben Simmons?
I don't even. After what he
After D'Lo's
tweeted out
tweet,
the
you
other
think it's
night.
gonna
Yeah, I
happen?
don't like.
Exactly. Yeah.
I don't know, but I just like it's going to be a team that like talks themselves into the fact that like, look, we'll never be able to get a guy like this absent a trade. This is our best shot to take a step forward as an organization. And someone pulls the trigger. That would be my guess.
All right. I'm looking for.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to that. I hope. I want to see Ben Simmons traded. I just want some shake up in the NBA. I love it.
I just want the storyline in Philadelphia to end. It's getting annoying now.
Yeah, I agree. I actually agree.
All right, Macri.
Especially because Philly games are basically home games for the Knicks game, so it's always fun to attend. So
I love it.
They're always on our mind.
Yes. Yeah.
All right, Macri. Thank you once again for coming on. Please let our listeners know where they can find you. Even though you just rattled off everything.
No,
I'll
just say, if you follow me on Twitter, like I always tweet out about the newsletters, the pods, any YouTube stuff. So it's what is it? JC Macri NBA. But this was fun, and I enjoyed talking to you guys. And you guys have a great season with the pod and everything. And I'm sure I'll catch you on Twitter. Okay.
Absolutely.
Thanks,
thank you,
we'll
Macri, for everything.
Game.
Yeah, absolutely.
We'll be hitting you up, and we'll be reading every all your feelings in the morning, whether they're up or they're down.
I appreciate it, boys. Take care. All right.
Have a good one.
Later.
All right. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in for another Knicks episode of the Knicks Jets Etc. podcast. Please make sure to give us a 5-star review if you listen to this podcast on Apple Podcasts. And if you don't, it's okay. John, why is it okay? I'm going to throw it to you this time because you already know it's okay.
Oh man, I'm up under the gun. You know why? Because we're on Spotify, we're on Stitcher, we're on Google Play, we're on everything you need. We're on YouTube. We're on everything you need from Alex, mouth to your ears. We are actually on YouTube. Please catch us. We are also going to be putting up these episodes live, so we'll be able to chat with you while they're going, so that'll be awesome as well, like a new little wrinkle. And don't forget about our Madden 22. Subscribe, send us a screenshot, and we have a winner coming up shortly there.
Absolutely. And if you do follow us on YouTube, please make sure to give us that like, hit the notification bell, subscribe.
Hit the thumbs up for your boys.
Yeah, absolutely. It's only the polite thing to do. All right. And then make sure to follow us on all social media platforms, whether it's Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook. We are there. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in for another Knicks episode of the Knicks Jets Etc. podcast. We'll catch you later for another Jets episode later this week. Because
take on the Titans, baby. Yes, we do. Let's go Knicks.